All right, guys, we're live again. So I realized after I finished episode 1 that I didn't really touch on a lot of the things that I wanted to touch on, and there's a lot of things I left out that I think that was the whole point of me recording the first episode, was to put everything in one episode, but that didn't happen. So that's what this is. It's going to be episode 1 part 2. So it'll be my second podcast, but yeah, there's some things I left out, and I didn't really go in depth on that I wanted to. Like I said, I wanted the first episode to be the only one place for... So the idea in my head is a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 down the road, when I've been doing this consistently and I've actually got something going on in life, that I'll be able to point people in the direction of, hey, go to listen to episode 1. I was brand new. I didn't have shit going on. You can listen to my voice. You can hear a lot of what's going on with my starting point and where I'm at, my goals, everything, and kind of get some inspiration and takeaways from that. I think it's cool. I think it would be cool if people like Andy Frisella or Gary Vaynerchuk or David Goggins or Joe Rogan, if they all did what I'm doing, and maybe some of them have some form of this, but I think it'd be cool to go back and listen to their first podcast, but before they did anything in life, because I'm at that point right now where I haven't done shit. And I know that at some point in my life, that's going to change. That's going to be, for my definition of doing shit. I'm going to have something accomplished where I can look back and be just excited that I accomplished something, or proud of something just something big. And so, yeah, I think it'd be cool to be able to look back and see my progress. I mean, literally right now, sitting in my room again, same setup, same mic, same everything, and just talking. And I don't know how to get that across. I just think it would be so valuable for somebody who is so unsure of starting to be able to listen to this and to know that I'm right there with them. I also don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know. I'm just going to start. That's what yesterday was about. Just did episode 1 and call it a day. And there's only growth that can come from it. There can only be learning from it. What's the worst that could happen? Somebody listens to it and calls me a dumbass. I mean, that doesn't sound like it's that bad. So there's a few more things I wanted to touch on. And I, for some reason, keep running out of fucking breath. And I don't know why. But, so, I wrote some more notes. And I'm just going to kind of touch on those again, like I did last episode. So, literally, this is just episode 1, part 2. And I've got some rules for the podcast that I plan on doing. So, if you recall, I am not going to say anything to anybody about any of this until I have at least 100 episodes uploaded to Spotify or iTunes or whatever. And so my rules are, starting with that one, can't say anything about the first 100 episodes. And then I must record solo. Okay, rule number 1, 100 episodes. Can't tell anybody. Rule number 2, I must record solo. No guests, no bullshitting, no podcast where I'm just talking with somebody, not providing value or insight or anything. Rule 3 is each episode must be a minimum of 20 minutes long. So that kind of forces me a little bit out of my comfort zone of trying to get across some sort of value or perspective or insight or something, which leads into rule number 4. There must be a takeaway from each episode, a lesson learned, some new perspective, a new insight, something that's valuable to you, the listener, if you're even listening, because again, I'm not telling anybody about this. So the only way that you're going to hear this is if somehow you find it on Spotify, you click on it and you listen long enough to some random guy, long enough to hear this on the second podcast. That's all I'm going to say about that. And then rule number 5 is commitment to 5 podcasts uploaded per week on Spotify. And I'm not sure about the other platforms yet. I haven't looked into them. I don't know the requirements, or if I'm able to change the name or add photo or change the cover art or the photo. I don't know what the copyright rules are, or what requirements or restrictions are on sounds and music and stuff like that. So we'll we'll go from there. So Spotify it is for now. I'm gonna have to look into more of that, but Spotify it is for now. So those are the rules. So quick recap, real quick. Can't tell anybody about the first 100. After 100, that's when I'll start posting about it. I must record solo. No guests or bullshitting. Each episode must be minimum of 20 minutes long. Must have a takeaway for each episode, a new lesson, perspective, insight, something like that. And I have to commit to at least 5 podcasts uploaded per week on Spotify. And if that changes to other platforms, then I'm going to include that in the rules too. But for now, it's just Spotify. So those are the rules. So now that those are taken care of, the things that I didn't talk about last time that I wanted to this time were the upcoming shows, of what to expect, or the year at a glance of what to, because I haven't, if you go listen to a big, a big name podcaster like Joe Rogan or Andy Frisella or Gary Vaynerchuk or Chris Williamson or Andrew Huberman, they've all got shit to talk about. They've got proof that they know what they're talking about. They've done big things. They've appeared here. They've appeared there. They have so much money. They have so much success, whatever it is. And I don't have any of that yet. I'm kind of just hanging out with the vision of documenting the journey as I go. And I like I said from the very start, it's going to be so cool to be able to look back on all this shit and see and hear just the way I'm talking at this point in my life versus where I'm going to be at in 5 years. And in 5 years from today, it will be October 19th, 2028. And it's crazy to say 28. That's so far away. But, I just want to be able to look back and point people in this direction and say, hey, I was a beginner too, and you can go listen to how embarrassing all this shit is. And I think a lot of it just stems from being humble and having the humility to put myself out there and not really give a shit. And I think a lot of that lately has come from completing 75 Hard as well as starting a new job in a field that I had nothing about. So I'm a complete beginner, a complete newbie. I don't know anything. So I'm asking questions all day, every day, and I have no shame in asking these questions. I don't have any ego involved about trying to be right or trying to know something. It's all brand new to me. So I want to learn. So I'm asking all these questions. I don't care if I look dumb. It's expected for me to be dumb. And it's really liberating knowing that there's not much expected of me. There's not, their coworkers would see me and say, or might think, oh, he's new. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's all good. And it's really freeing. I have the freedom to ask so many questions and get better and shit. So I think that's where the humility lately has come from. But who knows? So let's see, what else did I put down here? Yeah. Okay. So no business plan in the future. I don't really have an idea that I want to act upon yet. I don't really have a big thing or a big business plan or a giant idea that I want to embark on. But when I do, I think that's what this podcast is going to be centered around. I think it's going to be centered around business and making money and discipline. I think ultimately, as if I'm saying this now, I think it'll be a lot about mindset, mentality, perspective, discipline, integrity, being the best possible version of you as you can be. And I hate saying that corny fucking bullshit, but I'll just work on saying it in a different way. Because, you can explain one thing one way and explain the same thing another way, and they can be perceived completely different based on someone's perception on what you're saying. So I guess that's another thing I got to work on. And to reiterate from episode 1, part 1, I'm doing this primarily for myself. I want to get better at communication and conveying my thoughts in such a way that it can move somebody to do something. And the only way to do that is to get in front of a microphone, sit down, and start talking, because I guess one of my ultimate goals is to have a very successful and big podcast. So what a better way to start than right now. So that's what I did. And also to reiterate from episode 1, just start. You can start anything in the world right now. Virtually everything is available to us right now at the search of a Google bar. You can search anything, a language, a new coding language, a new software, a new book, learn math, reading, writing. You can can learn about everything is available to us. You can start right now. And I'm really trying to, I guess, demonstrate that. I mean, I'm using a $40 mic, I guess. I mean, I don't know, if you don't have $40, you can't do exactly what I'm doing. But if you have a phone and you have a voice, you can talk to your phone and do exactly what I'm doing. Might not sound the greatest or have the best quality, but you can do it, and that's starting, and that's better than nothing. And I hope that by the time I reach 100 episodes, these first 100 will be kind of historic, I guess you could say, ancient, or just valuable as fuck. So, I'm not sure. What the future holds, but I know not doing shit about it and waiting for a perfect moment isn't going to be the answer. So, let that be your sign to just start whatever the fuck you want to do. And if you fail along the way, I think that's a good thing. It means you got a lot to learn. It means something didn't work out. You have a lesson to learn, and you can improve. So, I mean, already I've kind of made more detailed notes on the second episode. So, already a small improvement, you know. And that's another thing that I wanted to quickly touch on was, I'm going to get back to the rules, or the things I missed out on last episode, but one thing I wanted to touch on, and maybe this will be the takeaway for this episode, is, fuck, I just forgot, hold on, the dude, I'm out of breath for some reason. I don't know why. Last episode I wasn't. I'm just sitting here talking, and I have to turn my head and breathe, because I don't want to be like, you know, that's some bullshit. So, so the takeaway, I think, or the insight, perspective, whatever you want to call it, a lesson learned from this podcast would be, so I've been making lists of shit to do. If you follow Andy Frisella, he's got the power list, and you put 5 critical tasks that you need to get done that day that are going to move you forward towards your ultimate goals in life. And that's not saying do the laundry, do the dishes, wipe the counter. That's not what it is. It's things like, if you're in business, you got to email a couple people, you got to reply to a couple emails, you got to hit the gym and, you know, form that discipline. You got to take an ice bath, you got to follow a nutrition plan, whatever it is. And if you're not familiar with 75 Hard, which you should be, if you're not, that is the power list. You know, those tasks represent the power list. So the double workout, follow a nutrition plan, no cheats or alcohol, drink a gallon of water, take a photo, read 10 pages of a book. I think it's actually 6 things, but you get 5 of them done. That's a power list. And, you know, ultimately you follow that shit for 75 days, changes your life. I mean, here I am. I wouldn't be recording this if I hadn't done the program. It's crazy to think about. But so I've been making lists, like I said, of things to get done, kind of like a power list. I've just been going on my phone on my notes section. It's free. Everybody's got a notes thing on their phone. If you don't, you have a pen and paper. It's free. And I've just been writing the things I needed to get done. And I've been, not necessarily the power list tasks, not all of them were, but I put about 15 things that I needed to get done for the day. And some of those were kind of restocking on supplements, or reading, stretching, recording a podcast, and then writing. I'm trying to get some writing in there and kind of develop that trait as well. So kind of goes hand in hand with speaking and communicating on a podcast. So, and I've been doing that the last 2 days. Yesterday was actually the second day that I did it. And that's when I wrote on there that I needed to record a podcast and write 2 pages of something. And I don't really want to go into detail about that yet. And as well as a lot of other things, like I said, like stretching, reading, things like that. Things that I consider a critical task. Like I suck so bad at stretching. I hate it. I don't hate it. I just hate spending the time doing it. But that's where some injuries of mine have come from in the past. So I know it's necessary to move me forward and reach some big goals of mine in the weightlifting world. So got to incorporate the stretching. So, and some of the other things I put on there, and this is where I'm going to get at here, is I put on my list, my power list, to continue working on my vision board to find photos to put into a Walgreens order and have them print them out. So I can do some visualization practice every day. And those are the only 2 things that I didn't get done yesterday and the day before, actually. But instead of saying, oh, I didn't do them and not do them at all, I did go on to Google and I found at least one photo, something that inspires me, or something, or a vision that I have for the future and what I want in my life. And all I did was just find one. And even though I would say I failed that task, I didn't go and find pictures, plural, to add to my board. I didn't do that. I found one, and I added that, and that's still progress. So maybe it's not the progress that I expected for myself, but I still took one step forward. I still put one foot in front of the other, and I got that photo done. And I might not even use that photo, but at least I put in the effort and I did something to improve in that regard. So, and that made me feel really good. You know, my whole life I've always been perfectionist, and I've used that as kind of my excuse for not doing shit, which ultimately is a humongous weakness. And, you know, of course it has its perks. You know, shit looks really nice when you're in charge, but if it prevents you from starting, then it's not really serving you. So I went on there, found one photo, put it in there, and guess what? That actually led to 2 photos, and that actually led to 5. And I actually did 6 or 7 because I just was I was kind of like in a flow. And, you know, by the end of the 10-minute, 20-minute session that I had, should have been asleep, but I ended up getting that shit done. And that just goes to show. So I was literally in bed, and I was like, fuck, I didn't even do that. Damn. Well, I guess I'll mark it off. You know, I didn't do it. Mark it that I didn't do it. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do one. I'm just going to find one photo. And then one thing led to another. I got 5 photos and in there, and I completed the task, and I was done. And that was a really good feeling. The other thing that I was on my list was to more accurately pinpoint the workouts and the nutrition plan that I'd be following for 75 Hard Phase 1, which is Live Hard, the Live Hard program, Phase 1, which I'm going to start, I think, October 23rd, which is in 4 days. So this coming Sunday. That's crazy. I didn't even think about that. And I wanted to more accurately explain to myself, because as part of the rules, you need to stick to a diet, and that diet can be whatever. You just need to have very clear guidelines and boundaries, parameters of what that diet is. And I started working on that, and that was one of the things I put on my list yesterday of shit to get done, among the other 15 things. And I didn't do that either. And like what I just told you about the vision board, I got on there. Let's make sure this is still recording. I got on there onto the document that I have, and I'm out of breath. Why, dude? So annoying. Whatever. But I went onto the document, and I started thinking about what my goals are, and started putting down what my nutrition plan is going to be. And I didn't want to increase my calorie intake because I feel like I made really good progress with how I am now, but I did increase my protein, and as a result, you know, calories go up. So increase my calories, increase my protein, and then I think I'm going to incorporate some more supplements into my diet as my diet, such as, so for example, right now, fish oil and vitamins, that's part of my diet. If I don't take those, I fail the program. And if you're listening to this and you're arguing that that's not part of the program, well, I'm making that my diet. That's part of my diet. You know, I'm consuming those things. You can argue they don't have calories or anything, but I got something, you know, I'm putting in my body. There's something, you know, I'm not saying there's calories, something. I'm just saying I'm putting them in my body. It's part of I'm consuming them. That's what a diet is. It's consuming. And so, shit argument, but it is what it is. I want to make that part of my diet because I want to take those consistently. And matter of fact, yesterday was the first day in 85 days or something like that I didn't take my fish oil and my vitamin. And I'm really butthurt about that, actually. It's kind of it sucks to think that streak is gone, but I'd like to think that I've been functioning better having those vitamins and minerals and the fish oil in my body. But again, it's part of my diet, and I want to make that part of my diet. So that's part of my diet. And so I wanted to incorporate more supplements such as maybe some, what do you call it? I can't think of it right now. What's it called? I can't remember. It's for your heart, though. And there's another one for your joints. Turmeric's another one. And thought about adding those. So anyway, going back to what I was saying, I put some of those things into the document that I had of further pinpointing my regimen and what I'm doing for phase 1. And while I didn't pinpoint it exactly how I want it to go and how I want it to be for the full phase, I did make progress. And that's a lot better than doing nothing for the whole day and making 0 steps to improve or to act upon what I said I was going to do. And I think that's another thing that the program taught me was keeping those promises to yourself. With 75 hard, there's zero compromise, zero substitution. So if I were to say I want to read 10 pages, but I only ended up reading one, that would count as a fail. But I'm not on the program right now, and that itself is a win because previously I wouldn't have done shit. I wouldn't have acted on probably half the list, probably not even any of the list. I wouldn't have read, I wouldn't have stretched, I wouldn't have taken my vitamins or anything like that. I wouldn't have ordered more vitamins. That was another thing on there. I wouldn't have ordered more fish oil. I wouldn't have finished drinking a gallon of water. Sure as hell wouldn't have worked out again or whatever I did. But now, here I am doing my best to do everything on the list for the day, committing to it, especially recording a podcast when I've never done that before in my life. That actually made me feel a little nervous, Even before starting this, I was kind of feeling uneasy. And I bet you if you restart the podcast and listen to how I was talking then versus how I'm talking now, I'm sure it's completely different. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. But anyway, a little bit of progress is always better than none. If you said you wanted to read 20 pages of a book today, but you're sitting in bed at night and you're like, fuck, dude, I didn't do that. Just pull out your book and read one page. That's better than nothing. And you might find that when you read that one page, you're going to be mid-sentence and you want to continue. Or maybe it's like mid-something else and you finish that chapter. Maybe the rest of that chapter was only 7 pages. And then you read the first page of the next chapter because you're like, I only read 7 pages. And then you read that next chapter and it hooks you. And before you know it, you got 30 pages done. And, I guess priorities, maybe you should have been sleeping. You should have been in bed. But you kept that promise to yourself. You said you were going to read. And you did. And you did it even when you didn't want to. And that's a win in itself. So that should be the lesson or the insight. Well, we'll think of a fancy name to call this shit because a new perspective. That sounds silly. So maybe I'm just trying to brand myself. I don't know. It doesn't sound silly. It's just I want it to be not so cliche all the time, So anyway, that'll be the takeaway for the episode today. And so one thing I want to touch on, because I'm going to end this up real quick, is a forecast on the next episode and what to expect. So I think I did nail everything I wanted to on this one, combined with the last one. And so I'm just trying to think of things that I want to talk about, things that I can share, provide value. And I'm going to do I'm not sure if I'm going to do one giant episode or a little mini series of the 75 hard lessons that I learned and share them with you. Because like I mentioned in the last one, there's a lot of things that I learned that don't directly pertain to the program itself, I should say. So, for example, I brought up the water issue last podcast, and that was drinking 1 gallon of water. And you don't learn much from drinking water itself, but the act of pissing all the time and having to be in certain areas geographically that are near a bathroom caused me to plan out my day in such a way that I'm very aware of when I'm drinking water, when I need to drink the water, when I need to not drink as much, and it kind of, foreshadows my day forecasts my day of kind of what I got going on. So, for example, I'll just share a little bit here. I'll probably touch on it in the next episode, but if I got to drink a gallon of water and I haven't done really much of it that day, like if I got a slow start or something, it's noon, I go to bed at 7:30, I got to drink a gallon of water in the next 7.5 hours. So it forces you to think of ways or when you can get the water in. Because if you're at work or something, you can't drink for another 2 hours, you might consider going to the bathroom or something and filling up a water bottle and just chugging that right there. And by the time you have to pee, maybe it's a little break or maybe you're able to actually leave or something. And then it just forces you to plan out your day I'll just actually go more in depth in the next episode. So, but there's a lot of things that you learn in the program that I don't know how to explain it. Like with the workouts and like one more thing I'm going to touch on real quick, and I'm going to shut the hell up and save this for the episodes. But your workouts have to be at least 45 minutes. And I found myself actually struggling to reach that 45-minute mark because I was so focused in the zone about getting that workout done that my workouts weren't an hour and a half. They were about 40 minutes, 35 minutes. And it was kind of hard to get that 45-minute mark. I would do a full-blown workout We do like 20 sets total. Like a minute, 2 minutes rest in between each. And my workout was done. And I was like, wow, I've only been in 40 minutes. So I guess I'll do some abs, throw that in there. And it's just crazy. It's just crazy the things that you learn and you experience for yourself when you're doing the shit. So I think I'm at 20-minute mark, 25. All right, cool. So followed all the rules of this program or of this episode of the podcast. I'm going to have to work on uploading these and getting them actually on the internet. And once they're there, they're there, So, wow. Hold on, real quick. Once they're there, they're there. You can say there 4 times in a row. Some fucking crazy shit, dude. Once they're there, they're there. Dude, people who learn English, that sucks for you guys, Hey, once they're there, they're there. And it's a complete sentence. But anyway. That is going to conclude episode 1, part 2. So a second podcast in 2 days. I don't know if I'm going to record every single day. But I'm definitely going to commit to that 5 per week. Which would put me at 20 weeks from having 100. So let's say, let's actually put this out there right now. A little bit cool. Okay, let's restart that whole segment. Let's put that out there. It'd be cool to look back in 20 weeks from right now and see that I said this and it's actually real life now. So 20 weeks from now is 5 months roughly. Let's see. Hey Siri, what day will it be in 20 weeks from now? Let's see.
It's Thursday, the 7th of March, 2024.
All right, March 7th, I should have at least 100 podcast episodes. Okay, March 7th, 2024, should have at least 100 podcast episodes. And if I don't, then, I broke that promise to myself and I failed the commitment that I made. So I'll see you March 7th, 2024 on episode 101. And it'll be really cool to actually look back and listen to this. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about, this whole thing. If I can look back in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years and listen to me now about where I am now versus where I'm going to be then, it's fucking awesome, dude. So yeah, March 7th. That's already an important day in my life. March 7th. See ya on episode 101. I'll talk to you later. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Bye-bye.